Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you like the content, hit the subscribe button, leave a like down below. So something odd has really happened in AEW, and it's a partnership with Sega, at least a sponsorship. So let's get into it, and let's speculate what this could mean down the line for a game. Alright, we're over here on Ringside News, and they have this article. It says AEW welcomes Sega as their latest sponsorship partner. Now that's really cool. So let's get into this. Let's read this real quick. It says AEW has featured crossover deals in the past thanks to Warner Brothers Discovery and other corporate partnerships. Now they are gearing up for another joint effort. Kenny Omega loves video games, right? He helped create AEW Fight Forever. We're not getting into that right now. The game is now out, and AEW's ties with the video game world obviously run deep at this point. Sean Sapp noted behind Fightful's paywall that AEW has a new sponsorship in the pipeline. They now have a deal with Sega, and that will call for them to give some extra attention to one particular match. As mentioned, there is a significant sponsorship involved planned for the Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega, Paul White, and Kota Ibushi tag team match. We're told that content was filmed to promote it. We've learned that it was Sega, so that's cool. It says AEW always looking for new deals and revenue streams. We will have to see how this deal with Sega pans out, but there could be a lot of potential here. Yeah. It says AEW has a lot of video game fans in their demographic. We will have to see what is next because a partnership like this could be very beneficial for all parties involved. Okay, so let's talk about this real quick. So has Sega ever made a wrestling game? Well, according to Bing, they have not made a wrestling game. They may have published one back on the Genesis or Saturn or one of their many consoles, but as far as I know, and as much as I looked into Bing, they have not made a wrestling game. However, they do make these games called Yakuza, the Yakuza series. And I don't know if you ever played a Yakuza game, but they have a lot of wrestling moves in them. In fact, if you fight in underground areas, and some story elements have wrestlers in it, like I believe Okada and some other Japanese wrestlers have actually made appearances in those games. A great way that AEW could complement AEW Fight Forever to have different styles of wrestling games, so you're not shoehorned into one genre. I feel like a Yakuza style AEW game would work really, really well. Now, how could they go about it? How would it function? How would it work? Well, I have some ideas. Let's get into that. So, let's say at the very beginning, you pick a created character, right? Or you make a created character, male or female. That way you can have both. After you make your character, let's say you have a tryout with AEW, and you're trying to impress Tony Khan to get a job, and they could treat Tony Khan like this big bad mob boss that everybody's afraid of, right? Because he's the big bad boss and everybody does what he says and all this stuff. So let's say during your tryout, he sends you this monster. Let's say he makes you fight Wardlow if you're a man, and he makes you fight Nyla Rose if you're a woman, and they just destroy you, right? It's like the tutorial, but you get destroyed, right? You get completely annihilated. And so he laughs at you. He's like, why would I ever hire you? You can't even, it's like you're a terrible wrestler, even though he puts you up against probably one of the toughest, right? And that way Wardlow and Nyla Rose could be like his main line, his number one, right? Their number one people, his bodyguards, the people that do whatever he wants. I know Wardlow is his own man, but it's for the game. It's for the storyline of the game. It could also be Keith Lee or some other monster, Lance Storm, whoever. But for now, for this, Wardlow, because I feel like he fits the bill pretty good. And so what happens is they throw you out, steal all your money, and you're broke, right? They just take your money, beat the crap out of you, leave you for dead. But he tells you, before he does this, he tells you, all right, I'll give you a second chance. If you can go beat all my lieutenants and prove yourself to me that you belong in my organization, All Elite Wrestling, or instead of lieutenants, they can call them elites. If you can beat all my elites, then you will have proven yourself that you would belong in All Elite Wrestling. And so the lieutenants would each have their own little zones or part of the town. Let's say let's say the entire area, the entire zone that you go do stuff in is this made up arena city, right? It's like an arena city. There's a bunch of mini arenas, and then there's the big bad AEW, like call it the land of elite or something, right? They could have slums and neon stuff. What do you call that? Neon punk stuff over here. They could have industrial over here. It could all be themed, and it could be really, really cool. And to kind of be like a page from WrestleMania 19's Revenge Mode in that regard, but a much grander scale. So, anyway, back to the elites thing. So let's say you pick a male character. The elites would obviously be people like Kenny Omega. And what would be cool, because in the Yakuza games they have goons, right? So the goons for Kenny could be like marks, fanboys. And let's say they have like a wig on and his sunglasses, and they're trying to be him. It could be like, this big fat guy thinks he's Kenny Omega, and it'd be really hilarious. And they could go that route with it too. And then another general could be the Young Bucks. And for that storyline, they could have it be where, like, well, you don't have a tag team partner, so we won't even see you. Let's say, like, everybody in that area, they're all tag team duos, right? You have to fight a bunch of little tag team people. They take you on two at a time. So when you first go in there, you get your butt kicked, right? Because you don't have a tag team partner. So a great way they could go about that is, let's say you have to go around the elite city, and you have to try and find a tag team partner. It could be any wrestler that's in AEW. It could be Keith Lee. It could be, if you're a lady, it could be Britt Baker. It could be anybody, right? So let's say you go around and then you finally find a tag partner and you have to beat them. And once you beat them, you unlock them for potential tag team partners and partnerships, and they have your back, right? So it's another system that they can implement, like backup system. Like kind of like they do with a faction. You can make your own faction and stuff like that. So once you do that, then you go face the Young Bucks, beat them. There's another elite. And then I think Jericho should be another elite. And that's the thing. I don't know how many elites they should have, but I would say 4 would minimum. But it'd be really cool if they did like 8 or something, because there's so many wrestlers in AEW, the more the merrier, right? And then for the ladies, obviously Britt Baker would be one of them. I would say Bunny, Yukiro Shida, and Nyla Rose, if she's going to be a main goon for Tony Khan, I don't know who else to replace her with. Sky Blue? Sound off in the comments below. Who should be the lieutenants for both sides? I feel like this is a really fun idea to really feed off of, and maybe they'll do it. Who knows with this partnership? And then once you beat all the elites, then you go get an audience with Tony Khan, right? And then you have to fight Wardlow or Nyla Rose again, and this time you're ready. You're leveled up. You've maxed out your character, hopefully by that time, and then you fight Wardlow. And they could do the Mortal Kombat thing where the second to last boss is always the toughest, right? Like, I believe in the original Mortal Kombat, Goro would just beat the crap out of you, and then the final boss was super easy. At least to me, that's how it was. And the same thing with, I think it was Mortal Kombat 2 with Shao Kahn, where he just shoulder charges you the whole time. And if you time it just right, you can uppercut him out of every one of them and not even take any damage. So I remember that. They could go that route. But anyway, once you beat Wardlow or Nyla Rose, you could then face Tony Khan. And let's say Tony Khan, since he's a billionaire, right? Let's say he has this cool robot suit or some serum that makes him super jacked and like doesn't take any damage for a few minutes, and you have to wait until he's like, ugh, right? Just something cool like that to do would be awesome also. So anyway, I just kind of made up a whole game in this whole video. I think that'd be really, really cool to do, and I think it'd be a great way to complement AEW Fight Forever. Let Ukes keep making that game and keep working on it, assuming it gets the funding it needs, because if nobody's funding it, if it's not making any money, then unfortunately they're going to have to move on from it. But yeah, they could keep making the mainline wrestling games, and then other companies like Sega could make like a Yakuza style wrestling game. I feel like what I just said fits it so well and would work really, really well. And it would one-up WWE, because WWE's not doing anything like that. And then let's say they get a trading card game or a turn-based RPG or heck, anything at this point. Just don't focus on just one style of game to promote your business. Branch out and do other things. Because then it'll bring more eyeballs. It's like, wow, this All Elite thing's pretty cool. Let's go check out the real show, right? Anyway, am I onto something here? Am I crazy? Send off the comments below. Let me know what you think. Stay frosty.